Sometime within the next minute or so, somewhere on the planet, another big idea is being born. It might be a new song, a new product, who knows? And who knows how to make this idea grow and introduce it to the world? Let's find out. Welcome to The Next Big Idea with your host, Peter Gantner. The program is sponsored by Cooler Brands, dedicated to help with branding, funding, and marketing the next big idea. And if that idea is yours, you want to pay particular attention to the particulars. Peter and his co-hosts and guests will explain just how it's done. If you happen to be an investor or just an interested party, you could benefit from the efforts of Cooler Brands. You could become a part of their community of folks who want to help others and make money in the process. If that sparks your curiosity or wets your whistle, sit up and take notice. Cooler Brands presents Peter Gantner and his guests on The Next Big Idea.
Hello, everybody. This is Peter Gantner, your host of The Next Big Idea. And, of course, I have my Universal famous co-host, Deborah Caswell.
That would be me. Hey, Peter.
And I have my power washing co-host, Mr. Corey Moran.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hey, everybody.
It definitely is. And today, guys, I'm serious. I'm a little nervous today, I got to tell you. We have with us Casey Armstrong, guys, and Casey has been in radio. Casey, how long have you been in radio now, buddy?
About 25 years, Mr. Peter.
25 years. So we have an absolute pro on the show with us today, and that is Casey Armstrong. Casey's going to give you a little bit of his history and where he came from, and a lot of you guys are going to go, oh, my God, I've heard Casey before. I've listened to that show before, and it's going to be amazing to hear his transformation, because maybe the last time you heard him, it was in a little bit of a different context than he is today. And he's got a radio show today that is absolutely about positiveness. But today, of course, we are working with and with Cooler Brands. We are going to talk to KC about a new project that he's been working on that is absolutely fantastic. It is simply amazing. The book series, getting ready for book two. Book one is absolutely fantastic. I gotta say, especially the author's edition. So, Casey, how are you today?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys, and thank you so much for inviting me to be on your awesome program here. And anytime that we ever get to talk and start conversing about a project that we all got, it's a little slice of heaven.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. So Casey, because everybody may not recognize your voice here, give us your give us your journey. So you started out, you were a comedian, correct? And ended up working on the Howard Stern show, correct?
Right, Peter. Yeah. So I was playing football at Western Kentucky University. And can you guys hear me okay? Is everything all right?
We got you great, buddy.
Okay, perfect. So, I was playing football at Western Kentucky University, and I had a goal. The goal was I wanted to be an intern for Howard Stern. I wasn't learning that much in my classes. I was learning by watching him do his show on the E! Channel, if everyone remembers that. Like how they would play a sound effect or something. And it was really interesting to me. So during class, I would do not as much as I should have been doing, but I would be writing letters and writing comedy bits. And every single day from the rented computer I had, I sent in ideas I never missed a day, weekends. So that got my foot in the door. They invited me to come in and do an internship over the summer, and that's pretty much in a nutshell. That's how I got the job there.
Wow. So Lily, now how long throughout 1 year of college, 2 years? How long were you writing these? Because look, we're talking to some people that want to be entrepreneurs or people that want to be part of a support system for entrepreneurs. And persistence is such an amazing thing. As a matter of fact, it's one of our guys. How many P's are we up to? 6, 7, 8 P's of running a business?
Yeah, there are quite a few.
At least 23 by now, guys. We're at 23.
I mean, there's
plus.
just a lot of P's, and persistence is one of the P's of being there, right? So
Yeah.
So how long did you do that for, Casey, before you actually got offered a position there, the internship?
Yeah, you know, Peter. But before I answer, I want to hear from you, because the first time I heard you speak, the first time I heard you get in a meeting, I was like, now this is a guy that knows what he's doing. The way that you run a meeting, and you know, I'm always trying to learn from people. But what I wanted to ask you was, what's the difference between being persistent and being a pain in the ass?
It's the approach that you take with it, right? So I got it. So when I was working on getting my product in a Happy Meal, I started to call, and at one point it was getting closer and closer and closer. And on the guy's message machine, it said, "Hi, this is so and so. You know, please leave me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible." So when I decided I really needed to get through with him because we were making some great progress, I started calling him once a day, and then it went to twice a day, and then it went to 4 times a day, and then it went to about every hour. And then one day it was like every 15 minutes. And on his phone, I would say, "Listen, I know I'm being, calling a lot, and I apologize for that, but your phone does say you are going to call me back, and I haven't gotten a call back." So you can make it fun, and you can make it that, but I think if you're being a pest, meaning you're starting to look at it from just a selfish standpoint. If you're being persistent, you're looking at a generous standpoint of getting the goal done, of getting something accomplished. I think you're fine there when you do that. But you know, what can they do? I want the audience to think about this. What can they do other than get mad at you, swear at you, and tell you never to call again, never write me again, never ask me again, right? So I get wrapped up in this. Oh, what if they think I'm a pest? Well, who cares if they think you're a pest? If they are part of you getting to your goal, and they decide they don't like you anymore, well, I guess that's the way life goes. So how do you look at it, Casey?
I always like to get your take on things, Peter. But what I did was I kind of put it in my head where, hey, I'm not bothering them if I'm giving them an idea, or if I'm giving them something, not just saying, "Hey, can you give me something?" So I always had an excuse to call, and that took of writing a new bit every day. So they could never say to me, "Hey, you're calling just to be a pain in the rear end." This guy's obviously, he wants it, and he's not just thinking about the bit he wrote last week. He's doing one every single day. So Howard got a hold of that, and he started to love me. He's like, "Hey man, when's season over? Because I want you to come work for me." And when he said that, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like everything that I had wanted. And Peter, you asked me how long that took. Now that started when we do 2-a-days in summer, so that was around July, and then he goes, "When's the last game?" I didn't even graduate yet. I said, "Howard, well, the last game is it's going to be in November. Hopefully a little bit later if we make the playoffs." He said, "As soon as that's over, you get back here to New York, and we're going to talk." So I still, even after he said that, I still wrote every single day. I wrote a bit every single day, and they were using some of my stuff on the air. So the last day after our last game was on Saturday. Monday morning, I got in the Cutlass Sierra 1986 and drove 16 hours up to meet with them, and he offered me a job, and he said, "When can you come down here?" And I said, "Well, I haven't graduated yet, and I don't have anyone to live in the place I'm at, and I don't want to screw over my roommates." He goes, "Well, this is a job." I said, "Yeah, you're right. I'll make it happen." So I drove right back down to Kentucky and found somebody to live there, and I left a semester early, and that's how I got the job there. And that's I think my take on the being a pain in the rear end and being persistent. Does that make any sense?
Buddy? So I love what you said, because and we talk about this a lot on the show, creating value for someone. So what you were doing along the way was creating so much value for them that they decided that they couldn't do it, you know, that the value you were creating was worth paying you for, was worth doing it. And that's part of the any type of pursuing something. It cannot be, and you helped me clarify what I need to say here. And that is, if you're pestering somebody when it's only going to create value for you, but when it's going to create value for both parties, now you are being persistent, right? It's got to be a great value proposition on both sides. And that I love. And that's exactly what you were doing. You were creating a value proposition on both sides of the equation. Value for the Howard Stern Show and value for you, Casey. So, Casey,
yeah, Peter.
Okay, we got about.
And I think that's so important, Peter, because also, do you think that to be successful, I mean, you got to make a lot of sacrifices, right? Look, I'm a college kid. I was on scholarship, and you're not allowed to work. But I found a place where I could rent. This is way back when the computers pretty much just started with emails and stuff. So I think I borrowed some money from my parents, and I got a computer that I could send emails with. It was probably like 128 RAM. You know, it was just like maybe a Commodore 64 or something like that. But if you want something, you got to get it done, right? I mean, you got
to be willing to work for it. Yeah. Hey, Casey, we're coming up. We got about 10 seconds left in the segment, and this is two more P's you just came up with, and that is paying the price. We'll be back after this segment.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet, and you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on the next big idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back. It's a touchy subject, but are you concerned about the rise in teen suicide rates? The numbers are getting higher every day. We know suicide is a lonely experience that occurs when someone feels disconnected from the rest of the world. With the loss of our in-person interactions, it's happening more and more, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is that until now, there's been no way to quickly turn around that negative thinking. Now, there's a simple tool called the Why Not Workbook. Created by the founder of the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, the Why Not Workbook is designed to quickly break the patterns of negative thought, shifting you into a place where you reconnect with your personal reasons for living. So, if you've ever felt helpless, like there was nothing you could do, you'll want to grab one of the free copies of the Why Not Workbook and share it with your friends. Get your copy today at whynotworkbook.com. Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Well, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
Peter Gantner back with you on The Next Big Idea. I got to tell you, usually breaks go pretty quickly. That one took a long time because I'm really excited to hear the rest of Casey's story. So, Casey, you are at the university. Howard Stern just offered you a job. You decide you're taking it. You're going to jump out on a limb. So tell us a little bit more now. So where does it go from here?
Okay, thanks, Peter. So what happened was when I drove up to New York, you know, I stopped halfway because it's a 15-hour drive in a car that probably shouldn't have made it because it's from New York to Kentucky is about 14, 16 hours. So after that happened,
Casey, sorry to interrupt you, but I just got a picture of you with a hole in the floorboard, and you're pushing the car, while you're going down the road like the
You're like Fred Flintstone. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That 1986 Cutlass Sierra by Oldsmobile, that was a workhorse, Peter. That was like a lot of people that are entrepreneurs that are in the Kula community. They just refuse to quit, and that's what that car was. And I miss it. It really did a great job. So, okay, yeah. So to answer your question, he offers me the job, and I can't believe it. I mean, this is all I ever wanted, and I drive back to Kentucky because I didn't want to do the wrong thing by my roommates and stick them with having because college kids, we don't have any money, but so I found somebody that was going to live there, and as soon as that happened, it was about 4 or 5 days later where I packed everything up and I left. It was a very emotional time because I had been there for 5 years, and my friends were there, and I was leaving. I wasn't going to graduate, but I could always come back to that. But this was an opportunity. So as you said, you go out on a limb and you go for it. So I drive back up to New York, and I live with my mom out on Long Island, and I'd have to wake up at 3:30 every morning and drive an hour into the city, and then usually get done with work around 3:30, 4 o'clock p.m. Drive back because traffic was really bad. So now you got about 2.5 hours coming back. So I get back around 7 or 8 o'clock, try and get to the gym for a half hour, try and get a little something to eat, and then try and get to bed before 9 o'clock because you got to get up at 3:30 in the morning to do it again. Did you ever have a job like that where it was all work? I mean, no social life?
You know what? That's a great thing there. Casey, that's been the last probably 25 years of my life, right? Because I actually love what I do. My passion is about work, and I'm kind of like most people struggle with Monday morning. I struggle with every few years when we have to go on vacation. Right?
A day off is bad for you.
No, I just love what I do, and I'm passionate about it. And so, yeah, I can understand though exactly what you're talking about. I know, matter of fact, I was just telling someone that I need to go over to LA and take a picture because I was talking to somebody on the phone and they were driving 65 miles an hour on the 405 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in LA. That's got to be like the eighth wonder of the world, right?
I mean, I don't think that ever happened.
Not for a very, very long time, right? So that's like one of those big wonders. So Casey, so now you're working at the Howard Stern Show, and you can cover on this as much as you want. You got your dream job, right? Because here's a lot of things. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people out there just in life, they think, oh, when I get this, my life is going to be absolutely just amazing. And I'm sure there was a period of time of amazement there. But you ended up getting like into the party circuit, right? And just give us a little bit of that. So now you're working at with Howard Stern. How did that progress to get to the point? Because now you have WMAP, right? World's Most Amazing People. That was kind of your experience at Howard Stern, right? That wasn't quite the same subject matter. So you went from. So can you give us the quick, we got about 6.5 minutes left in this segment, because I do want to get to your books. That is actually what we have you on the show today, is to talk about what you're doing right now. So on that side of it, can you just give us, the rest to get you to the point where, why'd you leave the Howard Stern Show and then decide to start WMAP?
Yeah, Peter, I thought that was really considerate and really thoughtful for you to say that, because it is exactly what you said. When you think that if I just get this, or if I just get her, or if I just get this job or this house, everything is going to be okay. And that right there is where you're going to set yourself up for something that's going to be a huge letdown. And my letdown came in the form of a really horrible depression. It wasn't anything that anyone had done to me. It just didn't make me as happy as I thought it was going to. And after putting everything into it, making all these sacrifices and making it your everything, and when it doesn't bring you the happiness that you thought it did, is a huge letdown. And for someone who's been pretty much mentally ill my whole life, the depression really got to me, and that led to drinking and just being very withdrawn, and I no longer had the passion. And once your passion leaves, that is a horrible feeling. If you get up and you don't have really anything to look forward to. It's a dark place, Peter.
Oh, yeah. And I got to tell you, that's why we started Cooler Brands, right? To give people hope, to give people a reason to move forward. My experience with the home-based business industry is here's something where you hear these stories that help people, but yet as many people as it was helping, it was hurting. And then these companies would go away or, fail. And then they, these people would be back to start again. And so we wanted to create a opportunity that would give people hope. I'm really big again on creating value in people's lives. I think that's part of that. The people withdrawing into themselves. If you can focus outward and say, let me go create value in somebody else's life, the value that comes back to you is normally greater than the value you are creating in someone else's life. And in turn, now you create value for someone else. They create value for you. That fills you up with value. Now you become valuable. So this is the value proposition, right? Now I'm valuable. So now I get to where I have hope more. So then I go out and I'm willing to create value for more people. It's this continual thing of creating value, making yourself valuable. And that's the journey that we're hoping we can get a lot of people onto. So you start getting into the drinking and all that stuff. Kind of tell us the end of that, the crash, and then the rebuild, the Casey we're talking to now, that is literally writing books about positive stories, interviewing some of the great people in the world on his radio show, out creating massive amounts of value to the world.
Thanks, Peter. And just to go back to what you said, I can honestly tell you that besides having my health and having my family, one of the best things that's happened to me in the past 10 years is being a part of Kula. The people that you run across, that you talk to. I mean, I remember the first time I didn't know what to expect. I went down to Vegas and I was, going to speak about Simply Amazing, the first book. And the people that I met were just so real and full of hope and just good people. And these are the people that you want to be around. They all they want to do is they want to support other people. Kind of like it's almost, I don't want to say that it's like AA, but in AA they teach you, if you help somebody else, that's one way to get to feel better. It's paying it forward, type thing. And what you got with Kula is you got people that just truly want to help other people, be a part of something positive. And I count my blessings, and I'm very, very lucky. I'm very blessed to be a part of all you guys. So I wanted that to not go unsaid.
Well, thank you, Casey. So let's jump into WMAP, right? So you've gone through this time, you've gotten back up on your feet, you're starting which is where the Simply Amazing came out of, right? So you start the radio station WMAP. Give us a little bit there, because now you're not working for someone. Now you are an entrepreneur. Now you decide to start your own radio station and take it in a direction that a lot of radio stations are not, right? Positive, lifting. So let's go into that. We've got about a minute left in this segment, and we'll talk about more of this on the other side as well.
You got it. All right. So I'll just tell you a little bit here about what happened. So finally, I went through some really, really dark times. I was homeless. I was not doing the right thing. I didn't have the right people in my life. So I got, that saying, get tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired. You surround yourself with good people, and positivity is contagious. So I start a radio station that had 3 listeners, my mom and probably 2 people that worked with me. And then I guess after we take a break, I'll tell you how it got to be now in 104 countries and a best-selling book. And now the second one with Cooler Brands, going to bring it to #1.
And we'll be back with KC after this break on The Next Big Idea.
So are you wondering where the next big idea will come from? Well, you'll hear about it first here at Better Living Radio. See, this is the show called The Next Big Idea. Maybe you got the next big idea, or maybe you just like to make some money from it. Peter Gantner will explain when we come back on Better Living Radio.
I was 35 when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. My ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me. I felt hopeless. He called Elite Rehab Placement because I couldn't make the call. I was ashamed. I was given skills to manage my sadness and my anger, and more importantly, I'm 3.5 years sober. I'm so grateful for all their help. And all it took was making one phone call.
Elite Rehab can help you start to break your addiction problem and get sober in as little as 7 days. And we'll work with your insurance provider to help cover the costs. Plus, we have travel assistance programs to get you here by plane or train. Make this free call right now to learn more. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. That's 800-918-1376.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-639-8620. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It'll be towed away for free. And you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-639-8620. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-639-8620. That's 1-800-639-8620.
Welcome back to Better Living Radio and this amazing idea for a radio show. It's called The Next Big Idea. Rather ironic, wouldn't you say? Hey, if you've got an idea, you might want to talk with host Peter Gantner or one of his guests here at Better Living Radio. Oh, look, here they come now.
Wow, I am glad that break is over because we're back with Casey Armstrong. So, Casey, let's jump right back into it. You decided to create this radio station with 3 listeners, and of course, one had to be Mom.
Yeah, Peter. So I was living in this house in East Moriches, and in the back of this house, I was renting it, and in the back of this house, there was this glass room. And it was so nice. It was looking out towards the water. And don't ask me how I got a place like this. I got it off of Craigslist. It was like it was a great price, and it wasn't the best inside, but it was a great location. So I get this idea where, hey, let me do something that's all positive. It's gonna showcase regular people that go through challenges, and I'm sure everyone has something in common with that. Everyone has a story. So why wouldn't we want to hear about that? Why would we want to hear about all these horrible things that happen? I didn't want to hear that. That part of my life I would like to be over. So what I did was I would be at the pharmacy and just talk to the person, the cashier. And somehow maybe we get to talking about how they just got through a divorce or something like that. So I said, well, you know, that's a story right there. How did you deal with that? Would you like to come on the air? So I would just be interviewing normal people that didn't have anything handed to them. They just were living life and got through somehow on the other side. And that, 3 people that grew and grew and grew until today. We have our own building, and we have a studio, and we are heard in 104 countries, and we're syndicated on FM radio. So what that tells me, Peter, is people don't want to hear doom and gloom. People want to hear about positive things and how other people got through the problems that they're experiencing right now.
And yeah, that's, especially today, especially where we're headed to. But we definitely need more people like you, Casey, that are willing to invest, because I got to tell you, it probably would have been faster and easier to get a show off the ground on the negative side, right? I'm sure there were some battles that you had to go through to get to that point, because you're out there talking about positiveness. Of course, if we knew positive sold, that's all the news would be every night, but it's not. The news is mostly negative with a little bit of positive in it, where you're simply saying, here's a positive one. Okay, so you got the show. You start interviewing all these amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
How does that lead to a book?
Okay, so I knew that we were doing something right when I interviewed this man, and his name was Werner Reich, and he was a concentration camp prisoner of war. He's a prisoner at Auschwitz and Mauthausen, and I sat across from him, and he blew my mind because at the end he's telling me how much he loves life and how lucky he is. And this is the same guy that told me he was sleeping next to a dead guy for 3 days for his ration of acorn soup. So I'm like, these people are out there, and these stories need to be told. So what I did was I took 10 of the most they're all interesting, but I took 10 that I thought were right to do a tightly edited chapter of each person. And Werner Reich, he started off the book. I had a gentleman who couldn't afford the dollar menu at McDonald's, but yet had that work ethic that he did everything. He answered phones. He delivered, and now his business is a multi-million-dollar business. So these stories, they're out there. There's so many people, and then there's a woman that started Shannon Knight. She was told she was going to die, and she had stage 4 cancer. It was in her bones, but she went on. She got a different form of treatment, and now she talks to people about how to deal with cancer, and shares her story. So the first book, Simply Amazing, the author's edition, was just what we wanted to put out there as far as our brand. And Kula was instrumental in doing that, because you guys brought us up to number 15 on the Barnes & Noble Top 100 list. And again, here's more proof. People want to hear good stories, and the way we did it was we spent a lot of time making all the stories concise, telling a story. Because look, we're talking about 6 or 7 hours on the radio, so it's all in interview form, and then we re-released it to some other situations. But we re-released it, the special authors edition, and it got in the top 10, which I don't think has ever been done before, to number 8. And when Simply Amazing Women comes out on May 1st, which right now you can get it if you go to barnesandnoble.com, you can pre-order it right now. And on the 1st is the release. I am very confident that Kula is going to have its first number 1 top 100 book.
Okay,
That is awesome.
That is so awesome. I just want to say, Casey, and I'm really excited about Simply Amazing Women for sure. I ordered both the hardcover and the paperback yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
And they'll be shipping that out to me on May 1st. Really excited. But I wanted to ask, so WMAP, that's World's Most Amazing People, is that correct? Did you start the station, was it called that when you started it, or was that something that you just kind of transitioned into after realizing, the direction you wanted to take?
Gotcha. Yeah, Deb, that was my idea from the start. It was WMAPradio.com. It was the same idea. It hasn't morphed or anything. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And we've been on the air for a little over 4 years now. And WMAP, also, we'll talk about the entrepreneur thing. Now, right next door, we have WMAP Publishing. So this is the first book that WMAP Publishing is putting out, Simply Amazing Women, which, like you said, it comes out on the 1st. And thank you so much for picking both of those books up. You're going to love it, because we have some people that are us. We got Kathy Biddleman in there. We got Deb Morgan. We have people that are Kula members. So I know what a talent is. I know where to get them.
So many people have stories. It's a fantastic book series. I'm really excited to read about the women you have in your book.
So real quick, Casey, we got about 4 minutes left in this segment. Why don't you give us a little bit of the 10 stories in Simply Amazing Women? Why don't you give us a little bit of like you did in Simply Amazing with the stories in there? Give us a little background on some of the stories that we're going to read in this new book.
Okay, Peter. So this takes the same format, because this is our brand, and anybody in Cool, I really hope that you get involved in this, because I've already written more books, and there's so many different books that we have, like Simply Amazing Veterans. But let me talk about Simply Amazing Women. It starts off with Kathy Biddleman, and her chapter is called Forgiveness. She is such an amazing person and an amazing friend. She's one of us. She's cooler. She witnessed her best friend and her little brother at the time. They were getting out of a bus, and a drunk driver came and hit her little brother, and her little brother was killed. Now, if anybody can explain this to me, how this is possible, in the chapter, she tells me how her pastor father, her mother, and her put their arms around the man that killed her brother and said, "We forgive you," and later became friends. How do you do that? I mean, wow. Amazing.
I don't know, Casey. I don't know if I could have done that. That is just absolutely amazing.
And it's very honest, Peter, and I don't think I could either. So these people are superstars. And then what I did with this one, and with the help from my best friend in the world, who happens to be my mother, Virginia Bartol, she helped me. She's the editor, and we work so well together. And it's one of the most amazing things that I'm so proud of that I've done in my life, because I got to spend time with my best friend and putting this thing together. There are titles. This is the only difference in this book, is there are 13 stories, and they each have a title. Like Forgiveness is Kathy Biddleman. And we also have one, A Woman's Voice. My mom used to do teaching in Africa, because they have dirt floors and they don't have too much of this. So she would teach English to these kids. And Cecilia is a member of the Maasai tribe. So we have an interview with her. And I know you had 4 minutes. I got a bunch of them I can tell you, but if I'm stepping all over you, let me know if
No, you're beautiful, buddy. Keep on going. We've got a little bit of time left. Just let's keep running it down. This is fantastic. Okay, cool. One of my favorites is called A Mother's Love. It's an interview with Marcy Stone. Marcy had 2 daughters. One was killed, and it's all a story about how you go on afterwards. How when your world seems like it's over and the most important thing in your life is taken away from you, what do you do? And she answered it with love, and it's really touching. It's something that I know a lot about, because my mother is such an amazing person. So I guess I can tell you what a mother's love is for someone who received it. And then there's another one by Deborah Morgan, and it's called Just Today. She got involved with prescription drugs. Casey, we're going to have to talk about that, and we are going to on the other side of this break. Guys, you guys know where we'll be at on the other side of the break.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet, and you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on the next big idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back. Each week in his live video market and economy update offered to his inner circle, Dan Frischberg delivers the in-depth, professional version of his famous Market X-ray report, live and interactive, Now that means you get to ask all the questions you want. And if you can't make the live meeting, you can watch the report on demand. Then email your questions in and Dan will email the answers back or include them in the next live report. Week in and week out, Dan brings you the ideas and specific stock picks from his friends, the people you see on TV and read about in the papers. You'll see what they're buying, how they're hedging, and when they're taking money off the table. At last, you'll get to see how the insiders negotiate the institutional macro bonds that billionaires on Wall Street rely on, the ones almost everyone else never even heard of. When you become an Inner Circle member, Dan will share with you his lifetime of experience and guide you to the best teachers, the best stock pickers, the best option strategists. And you'll be invited to exclusive working vacations in beautiful locations for the Inner Circle only, where you'll rub elbows with some of the most famous investors on Wall Street. So, how do you value the lifetime of skill and experience of a top investor on a mission to share it all with you and help you become one of the few winners? If you've been listening to Dan for a few years, he's likely already made you tons of money, or even more important, saved you from losing a fortune. Now, there are limits to the capacity of the online video sessions, but right now, for a limited time, Dan's offering you the position of charter subscriber, get this, for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. For all the info or to subscribe, just simply click on themoneyman.com. Themoneyman.com. Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Oh, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
We are back with The Next Big Idea and Casey Armstrong. We are going to turn it back over to you, buddy, for you to continue to go through and tell us about these 13 amazing women, 13 amazing stories in the book, Simply Amazing Women's Edition.
Thank you so much, Peter. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because when I was when we were putting this thing, the final edits and putting everything off, getting ready to go and get it printed. I mean, now we're in the middle of this pandemic, so it starts off with what's happening in the world. So it's very current. And my intro chapter about what's happening with this pandemic kind of relates to each woman, I believe, had to go through some kind of personal pandemic. Whether it be losing a daughter or, being cheated on and divorced, or there's so many. But let me just go right back to telling you about Deborah Morgan, because she got so caught into these prescription drugs, and she didn't have the easiest bringing up either. So it talks about her chapter. I think is very powerful because anybody who knows a drug addict, or because I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I always will be. It's not something that you can kind of not be. Once you are, you are. But in this chapter, everyone, if you know somebody like that, it's great because we got to win on this one. We got somebody who did the impossible and is sober now and learned from it, and now is helping other people. So that's called Just Today. And then after that, you go into one that I think is probably one of the most important ones in the book. It's called Survival, and it's an interview with Jade McCullough. Jade lost 2 people to suicide, and I had a bond with her right away because each year I was with a girl for a long time, and her sister had committed suicide. And every year we would go in a different city and do this out of darkness walk, where you start at dusk and you walk a city, like say San Francisco, and you walk till the morning. But it's something that is in families. It's the the statistics say if it happens to one person in a family, the statistics go way up, like it could happen again. So Jade is so honest. And how do you get by after something like that? I mean, you know, I can only imagine what and she goes through it. I mean, you blame yourself, and then you come to the realization that you need to help other people, and that's how you're going to get better. So there's a lot of common things here, Peter.
In that situation, look at what could they have done differently? Oh, if I would have only done this, those would have only, could have only, should have onlys that are so detrimental to her mental health, to her success in life. You know, and sometimes there's nothing that can be done, right? No matter what you would have done, it would have still ended up with that same result. And I think we just gotta, it comes down to that forgiveness and just being able to go out and say, you know what, I'm going to go create value in as many people's lives as possible on a daily basis. And that, you know, that whole value proposition, which we talked about. So what is that? That's about 5 or 6 of the stories we've talked about.
There's 13 chapters. And then, of course, I do my intro in the beginning. And it all starts because I was so moved by this UFC fight between Joanna Jędrzejczyk and this woman from China, who showed the epitome of toughness, the epitome of persistence, and it was just a moving experience when I saw these two. But I'm not looking for people to get punched and stuff. That's not what it's about. It's about not quitting. And I saw these two women, and my life was changed after I saw this. So that's how I relate to each one of these stories. And there are so many stories in here, Peter, that I mean, there's Lola Scarborough. She's going to talk about breast cancer and holistic wellness. And then you have Sandy Holtz, which is a really cool story because she was married for 25 years. They go on vacation, and in that vacation just happened right before the book came out. Her husband of 25 years was tragically killed in an accident. So we actually took a picture that Herb, who is her husband, his favorite place to go, and they have a beautiful picture of it. That is the cover. And I know that.
And I got you, buddy. That is absolutely beautiful. That shot there that was taken there. It is a absolutely beautiful book, guys. Check it out. Go check out the cover of it. And of course, you want to check out what's inside the book, right? Available barnesandnoble.com. Now we're working towards it actually gets shipped and released on May 1st, guys. Absolutely go in there, put your copy in, get your copy of it. Check out the title, check out the cover, because it is a beautiful cover. But make sure that you order one of these books for yourself, for a loved one. This is going to be a phenomenal release.
Thanks, guys. And we want people to get the hardcover.
Yeah, and I was going to interject here too. It's what a beautiful Mother's Day gift, guys. You know, just real quick, this is a story. This is a book of stories. And while listening through Casey talking through this whole thing, I've formed a great relationship with Casey because we have a similar struggle that we've gone through. And, you know, this is really timeless for a lot of people. Some people may be going through it or have gone through it or heading towards it in their life, the struggle, the hardships. This is one of those books that can absolutely fill your life with the missing pieces and get you through the pieces in your life that maybe you don't know how to get through, or maybe that someone that you love is struggling or doesn't know how to get through. So great Mother's Day gift, you know, and all around, anybody that you love, get their hands on this book because their life will be forever changed.
Thanks, Corey. And the first one, the special author's edition of Simply Amazing, the first book, the one that built the brand, I have them framed actually, and only where I know they are, because they mean a lot to me. there were 7 people that didn't think life was worth living anymore. And they said that that book had an effect on them where it made them see things in a different way and led them to get help. So
That's amazing.
I can't say anything else.
Absolutely incredible. Again, creating value in the lives of other people. That's what this book does. Buying and sharing a copy of this book with somebody as a gift, as Corey said, maybe for mom, can help turn lives around, save lives, inspire people. We need more inspiration in our lives, guys. This is, you know, I know the romance novels and all the other books that are out there that people are reading right now, but take some time and read a book that is going to inspire you and that is going to change your life.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, just listening to the storylines of some of these, Casey, I'm sitting here, I haven't read this one, the women's edition yet, obviously. And I've got tears in my eyes. Like, I'm fighting back the tears. But then when you go on to say that the people who have read your first book, that been able to have that mindset shift there, that's incredible. And that too brought on some pretty significant tears. So I'm really looking forward to this, and especially looking forward to, guys, if any of that did bring those tears and just really, you know, kind of hit you right here, just remember that each one of these stories has such a positive outcome. Like, you get to see the struggles, but not just that, you get to see how they view life on the other side, what helped them get to the other side. And so many people need to go through that process of getting to the other side, right?
Yeah, Deb, you're so right, and you're so right on point. And you see, like we were talking before, you see a lot of the same themes is forgiveness, is the power of gratitude, love, helping other people, being compassionate, and not being selfish. So I love what we put together here, and you can get this right now. You can go to barnesandnoble.com right now, or to Simply Amazing Women by me. I'm Casey Armstrong, and I'd love to tell you about all the other amazing authors, and maybe at a certain time I'll do that in the future. Thank you so much to you guys, because without you guys, I mean, you guys pushed me to do this, and it just seems right on all levels.
Casey, amazing show. We are coming up on the close of it. I do not even want to do this, but we'll see you on the next episode of The Next Big Idea.
Did you ever imagine that these little inventions like radio and the internet, that there was a time when they were considered the next big idea? And yet here you are today, having just heard a program called The Next Big Idea. Peter Gantner is your host. He's one of the founders of Cooler Brands, and they can help you whether you've got an idea of your own or you just want to get in on the ground floor of the next big thing. Peter and his co-hosts and guests are here weekdays on Better Living Radio to discuss the ins and outs of creating, manufacturing, branding, and marketing the best of the big ideas. Maybe you've got one, or maybe you want to be involved in one. You're definitely tuned into the right spot. So hear this. You can hear this program weekdays at the same time on Better Living Radio, as Cooler Brands presents Peter Gantner and the next big idea concept on radio.